This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
A generation ago, retirement was fairly predictable, but today, not so much. On today's show, we'll take a look at how planning for our future has changed and how important it is that we take control to prepare for retirement. And joining me now is financial professional Alex Sutherland with Life Plan Group. Alex, welcome to Tar Heel Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Why is it so important to even think about and talk about retirement planning?
You know, it is really important, and I think there's two major things that are going on in a lot of people's minds. One, of course, is the financial impact of retirement. And when you're younger and you're saving, a lot of the concerns are, how much should I be saving? When will I be able to afford retirement? And then as you get closer to retirement, the conversation, the questions change to how long is my money going to last?
Right.
And am I going to have enough throughout retirement to do the things that I want to do? And so the financial part of it is really important, and a lot of things have changed. You know, it used to be the case where we would have pensions and Social Security, and now pensions are a little bit fewer and far between, and they're going away. And so a lot of it comes down to our ability to save personally and prepare ourselves for retirement. The second part of that is really the emotional aspect of what am I going to do in retirement? So once you save the money, it comes down to the identity and what's going to give you fulfillment. And what I've found is that for many getting ready to retire, that can be challenging, particularly those that have worked their entire lives and now reinventing themselves into something else.
Right. And you have kind of a formula, a guideline for people as to how much they should save as opposed to their age. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it is a guideline. And so for people just starting out, once you reach age 35, it's important to try to have around 2 times your salary saved. And then as you get older, of course, you want to have more saved. And when you get closer to 60, the target is right around 8 times your salary. And then as you get closer to 67, which is your full retirement age, closer to 10 times your salary is really important to be on the right track. But remember, these are just guidelines, and it's always specific to each situation and what people want to do in retirement.
And that's what I was going to say, because when you look at 10 times your salary, that depending on what your salary is, can be a lot of money. What happens if you don't meet those guidelines, and how can you still have a comfortable retirement if you don't fit that particular formula?
Yeah. A lot of people ask me, you know, Alex, how much do I have to save for retirement? And I always follow up with another question. I say, in order to do what? And so what's really important is, what is it that you want to do in retirement, and kind of work backwards, and then start to understand the lifestyle you want to have. Do you want to travel really far?
Right.
Do you want to stay at home? You know, what's the lifestyle you want to have, and what's the cost associated with it? And then you can start to see and have someone help you see how much you have compared to what you need.
And you brought up a perfect point, because a lot of times people do like to travel in their retirement. I know my parents travel all the time. So at what point do you seek that professional advice in order to figure out how much you need and how to work out the finances in that way?
Yeah, so it's always important to work with a financial professional whenever you have questions, no matter what your age is. But really, as you start to get closer to retirement and maybe 5-10 years out, it's really important that you start to put together a game plan in place. And what I've found is the needs for people in retirement change. I might have a lot of clients that want to spend a little bit more while they're younger and healthier, and they do want to travel. But then as they age and get a little bit older, they don't want to travel, and they don't want that level of activity anymore.
Right. And so you need to think long term, because like you said, when you're active and you're relatively young, you want to travel, you're healthy, that's one thing, but then it's also a completely different thing to look at when you're not as healthy and you can't travel and you need some type of assisted living.
Absolutely. And that brings up a whole nother issue with costs. And that's why I think it's so important that we have a plan in place when we start to retire. And that plan has to be adaptable, because life always changes, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so as health or unexpected costs occur, knowing where those funds are going to come from to take care of those things are really, really important to give give you the confidence and clarity to like what I call take the plunge and actually do retire and to enjoy those years.
So when you look at retirement and your plan, what are some of the things that you hear from clients about their concerns and what their goals are in terms of retirement?
You know, and you've already mentioned it, one of the number one things I hear is, do I have enough money for healthcare costs? And there's really two components that are so important when it comes to healthcare. One is just being able to afford the premiums and being able to afford the routine costs, going to the doctor, the prescription drugs. And then the other is the unknown costs of what I call long-term care, and known in the industry, that's if you go into a nursing home or you need some form of assisted living, and those costs can be very significant.
Right. And it's important, I think, for families, not just couples, but for the entire family to kind of plan for that and look forward to that should their parents need it.
Absolutely. You know, another really important thing when it gets to this stage of life is your estate documents. You know, do you have a will? Do you have a powers of attorneys? Because when you get into the moment where you need some assistance, either for financial decisions or medical decisions, who is going to be that person? Is it going to be a child that maybe takes care of you? Is it going to be a spouse, or maybe for a survivor, it's someone else? And knowing that information and starting to process it and think through it, it really adds to the peace of mind of being able to spend that time and doing the things that you want to do instead of worrying about a lot of this.
Absolutely, making sure that your family knows your plan and your wishes as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of the things that we do with our clients is we create a life plan map for them, and it details out all of these different things. Who's going to be the person in charge if something goes wrong, and having that in one place and then telling your children, here's where it is in case something happens, can be really comforting.
Absolutely. How can people find out more information about the Life Plan Group?
Sure. They could visit our website. It's www.lifeplangroup.com, or they can call our office, and the number is shown here. We'd be glad to assist you or help you with any questions you have about retirement.
Okay, and that number is 919-858-6119, and definitely lots of ways to get in touch with you and find out more information. Alex, we're going to take a break and we'll talk more in just a minute. We'll be back with more on retirement planning after these messages. Today's show focuses on retirement planning, and our expert is here to help us with that. With us again is Alex Sutherland, financial professional with Life Plan Group. And Alex, thank you again for being with us. We were talking about some of the options that are available for people who are looking at retirement and the support that's available. Let's talk a little bit about the healthcare options that might be available during retirement.
Yeah. A lot of people are surprised of the cost of healthcare. And of course, if you retire before age 65, you might be able to extend your company's healthcare, or you're going to have to go and get private insurance. And that can be very expensive. And then of course, once you reach age 65, you have the Medicare program to provide insurance for you during your retirement. Now, keep in mind, though, that just covers your basic insurance needs. You know, those are going to allow you to go to the doctor and get prescriptions and see specialists. But a lot of times on people's minds as you get through retirement is, what if I need something beyond that? What if I need assisted living or going to a nursing home? And what's interesting is that for a lot of people that are on Medicare, they might think that the costs do include assisted living or nursing homes, and they don't. So the average cost for a male in retirement is $190,000, and for a woman is $215,000. And that is just for Medicare costs and normal healthcare costs.
Just a healthcare cost.
That's right. And then above that would be if you go into a nursing home or assisted living, and you can see those costs can be very significant, between $40,000 and $80,000 a year.
That's a lot of money, and it can cover a number of years depending on how you live and how long you live, and people are living longer these days.
Absolutely. You know, the average life expectancy for a couple is that there's a 50% chance one of them will live to age 92. It's almost unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly.
And it continues to go up.
And so that's something that we need to keep in mind when you are looking at your finances and planning how you're going to live out your life and how you're going to cover your medical expenses and your living expenses. That's something that a financial planner can help with.
You bet. And it also is coordination with things like Social Security. You know, deciding when you're going to start your Social Security benefit can be a really big decision. You can take that as early as age 62, and you have to take it by age 70. And life expectancy might be a major factor in when you start that. If you might have some health concerns, you might start it sooner, or if you might live to an average or longer life expectancy, delay that. And there's a lot of uncertainties in that. You know, we don't know, but that's an important piece to have that coordinated in your plan and understanding what's the right time to take that for you.
At what point should we even start thinking about retirement?
Yeah, the sooner the better. You know, earlier we were talking about the benchmarks of how much you want to save retirement by. And so when you're younger and you're working, it's easy to think that that's so far off in the future and you don't want to plan for it.
Our millennials probably aren't thinking about it. It's not on their radar just yet.
Yeah, that's right. But it's important to start early and start building. And then as I mentioned earlier, when you get between 5 and 10 years from retirement, you really want to get serious in your planning and start looking at Social Security, medical costs, how much you have saved compared to the lifestyle you want, and that's where a lot of decisions start to take place.
I know there's been a lot of debate about Social Security and how much is going to be available for the next generation. How much should we depend on Social Security, and what role does that play in retirement?
It plays a big role. You know, Social Security was designed to pay about 40% of your income in retirement. And that's something that a lot of current American citizens depend on, and they depend on it monthly. You know, right now, Social Security will pay 75 cents on the dollar after year 2034. So likely there's going to be some changes to Social Security to be able to keep funding it. Now, one of the things that they've done in the past is they've raised retirement age. So when Social Security was first signed into law, retirement age was age 65, and now it's 67.
Right.
So we might see them continue to increase that as life expectancy gets longer and longer.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. It depends on how much you enjoy working or the activity you have. But you know, it used to be the question with Social Security was, am I going to be able to collect it? Now the question is, how long am I going to collect it? Because people are living longer and longer and longer.
Right, right. So do you think Social Security is going to be around for generations to come?
I do, because so many of our American citizens depend on that. I really do think Congress will do some things to make sure that they continue to have that available to our retired citizens. I do think, though, that the younger generations and millennials, they'll start to see some changes, because changes do have to happen.
Right.
But I think for those retired or close to it, I don't think changes will affect them.
Okay. When you look at people who are close to retirement at this point in time, a lot of them are supplementing their income. They may retire and then work part-time, or find different things to do to supplement their income. Are you finding that that is a trend that you see might continue?
It is, and it used to be, retired on Friday and start your social check on Monday, and now there's something I call the great transition, where maybe someone will do some part-time work, or they'll do some consulting, or they'll start to cut down their hours, and really transition into the retirement lifestyle that they want. I think there's two reasons. One is, of course, the finances to be able to afford retirement.
Absolutely.
And the other is the lifestyle. I think for a lot of people, their work is a part of their identity, and it's really hard to just go cold turkey and cut that off.
Sure. I know my parents, when I think about that, they both are working part-time and kind of supplementing income because they just can't sit at home together all day. So I think that's really important to have those options for retirees. But when you look at seeking the guidance of a financial planner, what are some of the key factors that you need to ask a potential financial planner?
Usually there's two type of financial professionals. One is a specialist in helping you accumulate and save money. And that's really important during your working years. You know, being able to save and invest in a way in your retirement accounts or non-retirement accounts so that you have enough. But once you get closer to retirement, the other type of financial professional is a distribution specialist. You know, how do you take money out of accounts? Is it going to last? And so whenever you work with someone, it's important to work with someone who can help you meet your goals. And that's different for whatever stage of life you're in. Our specialty at Life Plan Group is helping people in the 5 to 10 years from retirement start to build a plan and then go through retirement so they have the confidence that their funds and their money is going to last.
Right, and making that money last is extremely important. I know that's something that a lot of people, a lot of couples are concerned about. And that's where a financial planner really comes in handy.
It is, and building a plan. You know, we call our plan the Life Plan Map, and it helps them understand their finances, pull together Social Security, the taxes, the health care, and giving them confidence that the lifestyle they want to live will allow them and their money to last.
Absolutely. How can people find out more information about the Life Plan Group?
Sure. They can visit our website, www.lifeplangroup.com, or give us a call. 919-858-6119 is our number. We'd be happy to help or answer any questions that they might have.
Excellent. We're going to take another break and we'll talk more in just a minute.
Sure.
We'll be back with more Tar Heel Talk after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. We're talking today about retirement planning. With us again is Alex Sutherland, financial professional with Life Plan Group. Now, Alex, we've been talking about some of the efforts and some of the things that people need to be thinking about as they are planning for retirement. I know that debt is a major factor when you think about retirement and having your finances in order. How can you eliminate debt and plan for your retirement at the same time?
It's really challenging. And it starts when we're younger and we bring on debt. And a lot of people enter the workforce with student loans and then cars and then mortgages. And so you hear the importance of saving for retirement, but you also hear the importance of paying down debt. And for many, it's a challenge to do both. One of the important things is when you work with someone is trying to talk about the types of debt that you have and prioritize it. And then as you get closer to retirement, many clients have asked me, you know, should I continue having a mortgage payment or a debt on my home? And really that depends on the situation. And for many, it can be scary to bring debt or a mortgage payment into retirement, but that certainly is a possibility. And there's times that you can retire and still have a mortgage payment.
So talk a little bit more about that, because I know that a lot of people are concerned about that. And then you hear terms like the reverse mortgage and things like that. So what kinds of things make sense for people who are looking at retirement? They have a home, they want to stay in their home, they want to keep their home.
You know, the mortgage payment and the debt is another bill in retirement, and just like any other bill that you might have. And so it's important, if that's something that's important to you, to stay in your home and to have that in retirement, to plan for that bill. You know, to make sure that you have the finances in order and prepared to be able to make those payments on a regular basis, and so you can have success with that. Yeah.
What other important steps do we need to take when you're thinking about planning for retirement?
You know, one of the most important steps that I often see get overlooked is planning for and strategizing about taxes. And, you know, when you're working, of course, you're paying taxes from your paycheck, and that's going away to the IRS. But when you're retired, you don't have a paycheck anymore. You're paying yourself. And different sources of income are taxed differently in retirement. You have retirement money from your IRA, you might have Social Security, we talked about that a little bit, or maybe money from an investment account or another part-time job. All of those have different implications on your taxes. So what I've found is one of the most important things when you're determining how much money you have or need for retirement is to start to figure out what taxes are going to do to you. And that's an important thing to plan for as well.
Now, one thing that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, and I think it's definitely worth mentioning again, is just that age guideline and how much money you need to have saved when you talk about planning for retirement. So let's go through that graphic again and just kind of give people a guideline starting at age 35.
Yeah, so when you start to get into the workforce, it's important to aim for about 2 times your salary by age 35. And then you want to increase that as you get closer to retirement. So by the time you get to age 60, it's important to have roughly 8 times your salary saved. And then, of course, when you reach age 67, which is your full retirement age now with Social Security, to target that 10 times salary saved. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, those are benchmarks and
Right.
generally good things to aim for, but it certainly all comes down to your specific situation and also the age in which you want to retire. You don't have to retire
Absolutely.
at 67.
Yeah, because some people have this grand plan of retiring at 55 and they want to travel the world. So, of course, their plan and their numbers will look a lot different than the guideline that you have.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important when we think about making these plans to make it custom to you and making sure that your plan is unique to your circumstances and your goals. And I think that's so important in planning. And one of the things we want to prioritize with our clients is that every plan we make for them is a little bit different and unique to their life goals.
Right. And I think it's important too, just to understand what you want in your particular retirement and the kind of lifestyle and the things that you want to do, so that you can have a happy retirement and enjoy retirement.
Absolutely. One of the exercises that might be beneficial is if you're thinking about retirement, take some time and write down the types of things that you want to do. And if you're married, you know, talk to your spouse and have those conversations sooner rather than later, because life goes by fast and retirement
Absolutely.
sneaks up on us. And it's always good to be prepared about that. And that gives you a better sense of the lifestyle you want, and then also will help you and your financial professional understand how much you have to have saved in order to achieve that lifestyle.
Now, at what age should you start working with a professional about retirement?
So it's important always to start saving for retirement, and no matter what age you are, if you have questions or concerns about that, reach out to someone and make sure you're on the right track. But as you get closer to retirement, really between 5 and 10 years from retirement, your planning should get a little bit more serious, making sure that you're saving enough, on the right track, and you start thinking a lot about the topics we're talking about today, you know, healthcare, Social Security, and is your income going to last, and starting to build a plan so that you have confidence you're able to retire at that age that will give you the most joy.
Absolutely. And if you're working for a company that is going to match your contribution to a 401k, do you recommend maximizing that match?
Absolutely. So the general ballpark is to save about 10 to 15% of your paycheck so you can get on track to those benchmarks that we
Right.
talked about. But even if you can't do that right now, make sure you're putting enough to get that match, because that's so important, and it's free money that your employer is providing to you.
Absolutely. How can people find out more information about retirement planning and about the work that you do at Life Plan Group?
Yeah, they can go to our website, lifeplangroup.com, and we also have monthly lunch and learns that are open and available to the public. And those range from different topics like Social Security or healthcare, the things that we're talking about today. And they can learn more about that at our website, or even call our office at our phone number 919-858-6119.
Okay, and those lunch and learns are at your office?
They are.
or-
They're at
Okay.
our office. We actually have a classroom in our office that holds about 30 people, and so we enjoy providing some lunch and providing some education on these important topics to be talking about.
Great information for all of us to have. Alex Sutherland with Life Plan Group, thank you so much for the information you've shared today, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Sonia.
All right. That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send us an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.